What part has she got?
Oh! Oh, those are great, Mother. Oh, flashing earrings.
They change color on whatever.
I know, I see that. Oh, those are wonderful. Well, they're Nita earrings.
If you prefer, you could exchange them for something else.
No, they're great. They really are.
They're certainly 4th of July like.
I know, I know.
Yeah, very nice.
What
Thank
birthday is
you.
this?
I'm not telling.
The 30th?
Yeah.
39th.
I'm not telling you. You have the big one coming up too. Bill has a biggie coming up very soon.
He's having a surprise party on Saturday.
Yeah.
You're having the 40th, Bill? Are you?
40th, yeah.
That's good.
Did you go out shopping?
Yeah.
I needed the yard work
Well,
done.
good. I didn't know you knew where to
I
shop.
went, that's across the street from
Oh.
Robbie on Jefferson.
Where'd you go?
Oh, those are great. Yeah, they change color.
To whatever dress you have, they change the color to your dress.
Oh, those are cute.
They are. I have a pair of crystals that do that. They're real strange.
Now.
I'll show you sometime.
Hey, Gertrude,
Uh-huh.
do you remember the birthday?
Separate suitcase for my
What
The
birthday?
day she was
The
born.
day she was born?
Oh, well, I do.
Is that when they started these parades for her?
Got pop or wait.
She always tells me that they have parades for her birthday. I
Yeah,
wonder, did they start
well,
that in Oklahoma?
The day before she was born, I canned corn all that day.
Got like,
So it was Corn. Corn, is that her middle name? Juanita Corn?
yeah.
So,
Where was she born?
Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Muskogee.
Uh-huh,
Okie
Oklahoma.
from
That's
Muskogee?
southeast of Tulsa, about, 45, 50 miles.
Yeah.
What is that thing?
Camera.
Oh.
He's taking your picture, the video.
What time in the morning was she born, or in
A
the
little
day?
after 12 at night, midnight.
Oh,
She was a firecracker.
she's a moon child too, so that's appropriate at night.
Uh-huh.
I called my mother once because somebody was doing sports.
Why did you
and I said, "What
name her
time is it?"
Juanita?
She said, "Oh,
Well, I just like
there
the
were so
name.
many of you. It was a
And,
huge doctor.
Is that a family
When she
name?
was born, her hair was long and black down to her shoulders.
High five, brother.
Was that right at birth? Or,
Uh-huh.
is that right?
But she said,
And she had lots of black hair, and it was down to her shoulders.
Uh-huh.
And to me, she just looked like a little Juanita.
Devin,
But I like
So, so her father is who? What is his name?
Her father was Hugh Hines,
Hugh Hines.
and we owned a garage there in town, and
The garage,
worked
you mean the auto?
auto
Repair?
garage repair shop.
Uh-huh.
And he worked, and then he had a couple of men that worked with him.
What did you do besides have kids?
Well, I took care of the paperwork, statements and stuff.
Uh-huh. How old were you when you had Nita?
Well, I was 20 years old when our first child was born.
Yeah.
And then 18 months later, I had another boy. And then, I guess about 3 years later, I had another boy. And then 4 years later, I had a girl. And then 4 years later, Juanita was born.
Oh, so what year was that?
1939 was Juanita's
39.
birthday.
Okay.
And, so I enjoyed my family and raising them. And,
So weren't you a nurse or something? Didn't you work in a hospital?
yes,
When was that?
in the 40s, 1946.
Now, are you Native American?
Oh,
or
yes, I'm part Indian.
How much?
Cherokee Indian.
Cherokee.
Quarter,
You're 1/4, so Nita's how many? 1/8?
Beg your pardon?
She's 1/8?
Yes.
How do you know that?
I have the records.
Is that right?
And I have the records, and when my father married my mother, he was accepted into the Cherokee tribe
Uh-huh.
as being a member of the Cherokee tribe.
What do you remember about Nita when she was a little girl?
Oh, everything. She was
Was she a good girl?
she did good in school, and she took piano lessons, she took violin lessons,
Uh-huh.
and
Was she an all-A student?
Yes, she was in the honor society.
Is that right?
And she had a good time in school. She always had lots of friends. They were at the house.
Did she have a lot of boyfriends?
Well, she had what she wanted. She had several
Several what?
boyfriends. He wanted to know if you had a lot of boyfriends. I said, well, you had what you
When
wanted.
was your first date?
No, I never had what I wanted, Mother. That's where we disagree.
Well,
You never had what you wanted?
whatever you wanted, it was boyfriends.
No, there were lots of boys I wanted that I never had.
See both of them?
Yeah.
Isn't that the story growing up?
I thought so.
Yes.
I thought you didn't open the presents until after you sang happy birthday. What is this?
Pardon? Oh, take a picture of these, Bill.
What are these?
Norm's mother and father came through Ellis Island and through the Ellis Island Foundation. We sent off and got the certificates, so they'll be on the memorial wall someday.
Where is the
And
memorial
Carl-
wall going to be?
On Ellis Island.
Oh,
And Carl.
that's your
you did
parents?
that to your parents too, didn't you, Carl?
No, they're his parents.
Oh, his parents.
Yeah, they're his parents.
Oh, let me see.
Where'd you get these, Ann?
This is what I have on my card.
Oh, I thought maybe the one in Birmingham.
Ellis Island?
Yeah, when it first started trying to refurbish it, when I
Oh.
hope it
You
came
want
up,
more
they
help
said,
at Ann
hey,
Arbor?
this is what we're gonna do.
Oh, that's,
So
oh,
that's when I got you on.
it's a coffee mug.
Are you a member of this
And they keep coming
club
up.
too?
That's great.
Ellis Island, something or other?
I just gave him the money.
You
Yeah.
gave him the money.
Right.
Mother, do you have
That's
your
the-
glasses
that's the
so
easy
you
part.
can see these?
Ladies,
Oh, Norm, I can have
when they go on
coffee.
trips.
Aren't they beautiful? I love them. Yeah.
They put them in the dishwasher?
And bring them down.
And if they don't go in the dishwasher,
Yeah, they
we
go
don't
in the
use them.
dishwasher.
This is your mother's? Alexandra?
Yeah, that's Norm's mom and dad.
Where does Simpson come from? I don't see any Simpson on here.
He changed his name from Desiree Simchuk to Norman Simpson, so he could be Americanized.
I see.
My stepfather did the same thing.
Is that why you have a red shirt on? Because you're a red, Norm? From Russia?
Komanish.
My second husband's name was Kanalaka. My second husband.
He did what?
He came from Greece when he was about 12 years old.
What was his name?
His name was Louis Kanalakis.
Oh, he was the one that planted the flowers, or stole the flowers from the next door neighbor.
Well, he didn't steal them. She was dead. But anyway, he changed his name when he became an American citizen.
Uh-huh.
And,
What year did he come here?
well, really, I believe it's 1912.
Oh.
And he came through Ellis Island with other relatives.
Where were you born?
I was born in Indian Territory. It's now Oklahoma, but I was born in 1904, and Oklahoma became a state in 1907.
So you were born on a reservation or in
No, it was
territory?
just Indian Territory.
Uh-huh.
And
Who was your father and mother?
my mother was Sarah Triplett, and my father was James Lafayette Gwynn. And
Were they both then half Indian?
well, my mother came from a full-blood family. She wasn't
So she
quite,
was full-blooded?
wasn't quite full-blood. And so when my father married her, why, he was accepted into the Cherokee tribe.
I see.
I'm from the Cherokee Indian tribe.
Do you know any of your ancestors further back than your
Well,
parents?
no, because
Didn't the Cherokees come from the east, though?
oh, they
originally?
came from Georgia and let me see, Georgia and Carolina.
I think Nita gave me a book, loaned me a book to read up on that one time, because I'm doing some
Yes.
Native American things.
And I have a nephew that is his hobby, tracing clear back where our people came from that we have, well, say the Gwynns. where they came originally. And so that's his hobby, and he's traced it back quite a ways.
Did you practice any of the Native American religion or ceremonies?
No, I didn't, because I didn't grow up around them. Now, if I had grown up around them, I would have, and I would have spoken the Cherokee language. But my mother died when I was about 7.
Oh.
And she died in childbirth. I had a little sister, and my little sister died about a month after my mother did. So I lived with first one person and then another one. And then when...
So you were like an orphan?
Yeah. And my father died 5 years after my mother, so...
What did he die of?
Well, he was about 52 when I was born.
Oh.
And I think that he had complications of kidney trouble. And I know now, from what knowledge I've gained, that evidently it was prostrate. Well, nowadays, if you have prostrate trouble, a man does prostate, why, there's a surgery performed, but in those days,
yeah, they didn't have
that. And
so when did you start nursing, being a nurse?
1946.
Oh.
Yeah, 1946.
In the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like that kind of work?
And so...
so Nita was 7 when you started working there?
Yeah, she was, about 7 or 8, And
so tell me about, what was her first date now? Do you remember her first?
I don't remember her first date.
You don't remember that? How about her second date?
I don't remember. You'll have to ask her about that.
What?
First grade.
First grade. What do you remember most about Nita? What?
That
incident?
She liked pretty things, pretty clothes, and she had a friend.
Was she a flirt?
Not necessarily.
Not around
her mother.
She had a friend that named Jackie Hobbs, and they would go downtown and look at clothes. They would spend hours shopping for just the right dress for some event in school. And I used to tell Juanita, I said, now you go and look, and when you think you've found the right dress, call me, and then I'll come to see it. But I'm telling you, they would spend hours going from store to store to store.
Now this doesn't sound like too unfamiliar to me. I didn't know you were in Oklahoma at that time.
That's what attracted you to Nita.
That was before TJ Maxx.
Now tell me, Nita, how many nights a week do you go out to dinner with my wife? That's what I want to know.
Once a month.
Once a month. It seems like it's more than that to me.
I thought it was less than that.
Oh.
Yeah. Once every 6 weeks, probably.
Now, what do you remember about anything?
We haven't gone this month yet.
About anything?
About growing up?
Oh.
Ask her.
About being an Okie. I've asked her everything.
Ask her. She knows all that.
Yeah, but she's not telling us. We want to hear it from you.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first parade? You know, your first...
You ought to ask her about
I
when she
remember
first drove
going.
the car.
Downtown in 1945 when the war was over. And everybody was out in the streets and yelling and screaming and celebrating. And it was like being at a party, but I didn't know what the party was for.
Didn't you think it was for you?
No, not at that time.
It wasn't the 4th of July.
Yeah, just when the Second World War was over. And I remember being in a tornado, and I learned later that it was the day that Roosevelt died, I think.
He died. That happened in
Spring or something. Anyway, our house was blown away, and
Your house was blown away.
We were in.
Where were you?
We were
we
in.
were in the house.
How come you let that happen?
Well, when it come up, you don't know. It really,
Were you only in one?
there was 2 men waiting for Juanita's father to come from the shop to go fishing in one of the lakes. They were sitting out on the porch, and so one of them said, let's go inside. It looks bad. It's going to start raining. So they came in the house, and about the time they came in the house, why, the wind hit, and they had a car out there. It was just a fishing car, and that car was about this high off the ground, and it was just a swinging like this in one place. And so when one of the men ran in the front door, I tried to close. We had a big, heavy front door, a lot of glass in it all the way nearly, little glass panes. And I tried to close the door, and I like to never have gotten it closed. And then things were flying by the window. I could see them. And so I told Juanita, the men went in my kitchen, and we went through the front room, and we had a swinging door that went into a hall next to the kitchen. Well, we started in there with that door slammed against Juanita's arm, and she started crying. Well, I stood there and rubbed her arm, and the wind was screaming like a banshee, you know. And I could hear things ripping and tearing, but I was rubbing her arm. And it was over in seconds. And the entire front of our house was laying out just like you had picked it away from the walls and laid it out flat. And
Where were you, in the basement?
huh?
Where were you when this happened? In the basement?
Right there in the
We didn't
front
have
room.
basements.
Oh.
We didn't
You
have
didn't
a
have a
basement.
cellar.
No, we
we were in
didn't
the
have
middle of
one.
the house,
You
with
don't
the
have
kitchen
them out in
back.
Oklahoma.
So it just kind of blew the house apart, but
Yes.
didn't hurt you any.
And it took the roof off of the kitchen. And you think of the silliest things. One of the men, he was standing in the corner of the back door where it joined the wall with his hands over his head, and the other man was under the table. And and I had a silver service tray and coffee and creamer and stuff, and it was all over the floor, and I picked up the tray, and it was bent where it had been pounded. And the man said, the house across the street is blown away, clear off its foundations. And there was a woman and her daughter over there. And then back facing the other street in front of us was neighbors of ours, and the house was just like this. The roof was down on nearly to the ground. And I asked the man, I said, go over there and see about Miss Forrest. I said, I know she and her son are home. And the house was just flat, just sitting there. They ran over there, and they pulled her and her boy out from under the bed. The bed was holding the roof of the house up.
Oh, boy.
And when they pulled them out, the bed collapsed.
Wow.
They were
And
saved.
Would they have been
yes,
dead?
they saved them. And of course, in a little bit, police and everybody was out. And I did the silliest thing. I picked up my silver service, wrapped it in tea towels, and put it in the refrigerator because I'd heard people,
That was smart.
taking everything.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. It was a silly thing. And so in a little while, my husband got home. And he had to absolutely nearly stand guard. People were coming into the house to ransack the house, and he had to get real angry with some men to keep them from coming in.
It goes down the hall.
And I thought about my silverware I'd stuck in the refrigerator, and I knew that people would grab things, is what I had read about before. And I thought, well, by sticking the silverware, my silver service in the refrigerator, they wouldn't think to look in there. And one of the men, he went back to his business, and he told his wife to order a moving van and send it out to our place. And they did. And they just, the men came in there and just picked up things, put them in the van just as it was. Nothing was packed. They just picked it up. And the girls had a lot of dolls. Juanita had a big doll, and it would scream Mama. Well, there was a great big colored van that was helped moving, and they just packed anything. They just grabbed it and put it in there. And so he grabbed this doll up, and he had some other stuff on top of it. And when he put it down, it screamed, "Mama!" He like to faint, and he thought all that stuff was on top of a baby. And he went digging down in there. He really did. He was scared stiff. And so they moved practically everything out of the house and took it down to storage. And so Juanita's grandfather and grandmother lived about I'd say 4 miles from where we lived. And so her grandfather came over, and he made a bed there to stay all night to keep people out of the house. They would just grab up, they would come out there with trucks and pick up refrigerators and beds and mattresses and haul them off. And so I had a neighbor right next door to me. She had lots of stuff that was blown in, furniture and stuff in her yard. And our roof of our kitchen was gone, and somebody's silver, good silver, was all over our kitchen floor. And so my husband the next day gathered all that up and took it to the police station, because that way the owners could identify it. And then my neighbor across the street and up from us at the time of the tornado, he was out in the yard with his sister and his wife. He had prize chickens that he bought, and he was showing them his prize chickens. And he had little ones and big ones, and he must have had 60 or 70 chickens. And so when he saw the tornado coming, I didn't know it was a tornado when I heard it was just screaming like a, just screaming real fine, going, ooh, way down like that. And he realized what it was, and he told his sister and wife to go in the house. He said, "Let's go in," and his wife was kind of slow talking, getting in. He gave her a shove, and she couldn't understand because he'd never shoved her. And he gave her a shove and said, "Lay down quick." And so there wasn't a matchstick of their house left. And he found his wife laying out in the yard, well, quite a ways from, with a mattress on top of her.
Was she alive?
And yes, and his sister was beaten up terribly through the chest with something in the air. And he found them, and next door to them was a neighbor, and she was downtown when this happened, and her little boy came home from school. Well, he was in, there was a 2-story house. So when the wind went blowing, he felt the house shaking. And so he'd had a little dog. You remember that kid that lived next to him? He had a little long-haired dog about like that. Well, he went in the kitchen, and he laid down on the floor. The house was shaking so, and grabbed hold of the stove leg. And so he and that dog was wrapped up in that linoleum, and was taken up in the air, and he said he could see treetops. And so they were taken quite a ways from where they lived, and then it just slanted, and he and the little dog slipped out, and neither one was hurt, but he was wrapped up in that linoleum. And of course, his mother was frantic. She come home, there wasn't a speck of lumber left.
You write a whole book on it.
Yes, he's got all his own stuff.
Oh, how exciting. Oh, come on in,
Could you
Bill.
tell, what year did you pose for this nude
Is it a
statue?
centipede?
What a wonderful compliment.
Is that a compliment? What year
The
was that?
Holsworths were here a couple of years ago
Yeah,
with their
okay.
little boy who was about
Norm-
2
Norm
years
looked like
old.
Captain Kangaroo.
And he looked at that statue, and he
Looks
said,
great.
"Mama," and we all started laughing.
So what are you going to do?
I mean, my boys never said mom.
Exciting, how do you?
Here, take some of these other people, Bill.
Yeah, I'm taking all these.
If you don't like the meat,
But
you
with
put it
you
in the
in it.
microwave.
Oh, well, I owe you,
What are you cooking for us today?
oh, I'm not cooking anything. Norm is cooking
Norm's doing
lamb burgers,
Lamb burgers.
and everybody brought something.
Good.
Did you get Richard?
What did Richard bring?
I'm all set. I brought a curd.
What time did you get
You
up?
brought the
this
holy
morning?
water or something like that?
3
Yeah.
to go to Ann Arbor and,
Now, unfortunately, I woke up with a shot at 7 o'clock. I was like,
Good for you.
time to get up.
Looks like you're ready for benediction.
oh, you want that,
had it.
Ann? That's what I looked out for.
You want that, Bill?
Yeah.
The Midwife Revival, is that the card?
How does it feel to be 39?
I'd forgotten.
Yeah. Did you hear about my surprise birthday party that my classmate?
Hungry.
Here we go.
I was hungry, I didn't think I had, you know, going, you know, not too many people.
It's just new, I guess.
Does she speak Hungarian?
She just learned some.
Look pretty good, Laura.
They're gonna
You do this every 4th of July?
The sad
All right,
part
Gertrude.
is most of the
Thank you.
people that you meet in Hungary, from my understanding, is that they speak English. It's kind of like.
Did you marry Norm because he was
It's
a
only
cook or
American
because he was a
that
doctor?
speaks
He didn't
one
cook one.
language at that
Well,
time.
he sort of cooked when I
Oh, is
met
that
him.
right?
It's a shame.
That is.
He was
What's
a
worse
student.
is
He
you
wasn't
expect
anything like
that
Is
I
that
don't have
right?
any money to do anything.
you go to Frank Jake's.
I remember the first time I saw you and Nita, you pulled up in an old blue 61 Valiant.
I suppose I'd like to go.
That's right.
Looked like a couple of hillbillies from Oklahoma. I said, who are these people bringing the
No air
neighborhood
conditioning.
down?
Was, no, it was 63 Valiant, I
Oh,
think.
63, yeah.
Yeah, the year Norm graduated. Was it 63 or 62?
63.
63 blue Valiant, no air conditioning, no
Yeah.
FM radio.
Basics.
The basics, huh?
Yeah,
Well, you've come a long
but it
ways,
ran.
baby.
It ran.
Yeah.
That's all we wanted.
Oh.
Come on, Bill, you put your camera down.
Well, I'll just get the beginning here. I
Okay.
get obnoxious with my camera, so.
Oh, this is lovely. Carl, you can sit at the end.
Hey, where you
Oh,
want?
you're not?
Well, I just found a place for my left hand.
No. Bill, you
Yeah,
want to sit at the end
all right.
with your
Then you
camera?
can pan,
Yeah.
you can pan the crowd.
Okay, I'm recommending the tabbouleh in the bowl.
Do we need a bigger spoon for the pasta, or?
That's as big as we got.
Oh, well,
And I'm
not
recommending,
really.
Very nice.
like so,
You're gonna wander.
Thank you. No, I'll land, thank you.
you can put your hamburger in the bun
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
and then put on
Sure, just so.
yogurt and whatever else you want.
Is
Okay.
a bowl for tabbouleh?
Yep, have at it.
For dessert, Norm.
Fresh fruit and grappa. Where's the grappa?
Rapa?
May I serve
But
you?
if, like he said, he
Is this out of your garden
a
too?
womanizer, I would
Everything's
think
done in my
you'd build something around you.
The cake, the fruits,
Well, when you're still married, you take a
vegetables,
girl
the
to
meat.
Russia with you.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the cake, Nita?
They brought it into work yesterday, and it's a double chocolate.
Did they sing happy birthday or anything?
That's to put on your fruit. It's sour cream, cinnamon, and brown sugar.
Looks wonderful.
I put something on here too. Bill?
Thank you.
This looks wonderful.
Nice dessert you made.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't it?
Do you want to go over to the lab and then come back for Gertrude and me?
All right. Are you trying to get rid of me or something?
No, I'm not trying to get rid of you.
All right.
So,
Never that, Bill.
never that.
Now you have to clean up too, huh, Norm?
yep,
That's the way it goes.
that's the way it goes, you're right.
When you're the host.
I'll be careful.
Is that big enough for both of them?
Yeah.
Here's the fruit.